Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Carlie. This is my channel, Consciousness with Carlie, but now we're doing our new Instagram Live podcast, The Angles of Light with Ryan Galli, where we tap into our angelic frequency and bring another perspective to the angle of all that we are. So let's get him on here. Okay, Ryan, let me invite you. Good morning, everyone. Oh, all right.
Okay, let me see. Can you hear me with these new earphones?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
Woo,
Lovely.
leveling up, Ryan.
Hold on. Let me just show you quickly where I'm sitting right now because this is like
Okay.
mind-blowing to me.
Wow.
It is it
Whoa,
is
where are
it,
you?
I'm at home.
I love
I'm at
it.
I'm at
Oh.
home. I'm at
And
home.
look behind
Yeah.
me. I'm in the jungle
Yeah.
on the beach.
Awesome. So beautiful. So
So
beautiful.
beautiful.
I was just listening to your conversation with your friend the other day, and he was just saying, there's this beautiful light at the end of the tunnel, and it's within you. And it just was perfect to come on to this conversation and just kind of show you where I'm sitting right now, and that light that I finally found within me is now kind of being reflected back to me and to yourself, right? It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And the messages that keep coming to me, even where I'm sitting right now, it's been like this for, I don't know how many months now, but it's catching up and it's showing me that what's about to be reflected back to me in my life is going to shock people. It is going to be the hope that people get to see, like, oh my God, that's what I need to see. How did you do this? How are you living this lifestyle? How are you able to have this reflection? How are you able to go through what you went through and then end up where you are now?
Yes.
And it's so beautiful.
So I've been telepathically talking to you all day. And I'm like, okay, I know that me and Ryan are tapped in and we know what we're going to talk about. And everything that you're saying leads into this. So this is going to be a major one. Could be triggering. It's going to be enlightening for those that can have it. But I would love your perspective as a divine masculine and as an angel frequency about fractured aspects of us that the energy got stuck in the initial trauma. And I know for angels and our frequency, we really don't lead in that way where it's going back to healing, because we're like, you're right here, you're in your light, right? I understand that. But what would your perspective be for somebody who is in repeating loops where they are fragmented in that aspect? What would you say as an angel frequency?
For me, when you speak about fragmentation, and it's all same like fractals, and how I view the beginning of consciousness in its whole is each time its heart was broken, it fractaled, and so as we as we as as we go through these difficult moments and we want to perceive them as outside of us happening to us, we realize that they're happening through us, and we're actually breaking a piece of our heart off in each moment. So calling all pieces back to ourselves is really calling all the pieces of our heart, learning to love all those pieces again and bringing that back to wholeness. And what I'm seeing is I think we've spoken about it recently about these mirrors and being able to see the clear mirror and being able to choose that clear mirror. And I am noticing even with some close friends right now where they're falling back into the habit of needing to heal or going back to do ayahuasca or what plant medicine can I do or all of these different things, which again, I'm not putting down and they are useful, but if you could just learn to choose the mirror that's the clearest, and even if it's a guiding light in the moment, choose that mirror, right? And let's we don't have to keep engaging with the mirrors from the past. We don't have to keep engaging with those. It's a choice. And to me, it's like I always give the understanding or the picture of a box, right? And people talk about this matrix and Metatron's cube and all of these ideas. To me, it's we, consciousness, placed ourselves within this box to experience separation and duality and the darkness. And what happened is say during COVID, this box lid opened and a lot of us learned to stand up and remember the light and started to experience the light again with both feet still in the box. And we look down and there's still all these people cuddled up in this dark coziness that felt cozy anyways, and they're afraid to kind of look up and experience it. And then we learn to like step outside of the box. So now we're straddling the two experiences, which is really confusing because you're like, you know, feeling the familiar, which, you know, you keep banging your head against the wall because it doesn't feel good. And that's the thing is you think the logic and it says we got to go this way, but it doesn't feel good. And so the unfamiliar, which is the unknown in the darkness, you don't know what this looks like, but it feels so good. So you keep gravitating towards that. And I think that the more we can look into the unknown, the more we can choose the unfamiliar, the more we can choose love, the more we can come back to our heart space, the more we leave this old box behind, right? And consciousness can't be boxed in unless we choose it to be so. And we chose it to be so, but we now no longer need to choose that as we remember who we
Right.
are. So
Right.
so that
Right.
that to me is a long explanation of
No.
what I believe a fractal is and fragmentation. It's just all about us. Even the people around me struggling today with, you know, and it's really hard. I find because I've got two boys, and the woman I'm with right now has three children, and what she's learning, you know, through her mother and through her husband, her ex-husband, and these little things are like the past, present, and future versions of herself, and the hardest ones are the children. And so you get lost in that illusion of the child you're projecting, which feels outwardly, I want to help them. I want to help them when in actuality, the greatest gift you can do is come back into your heart, heal those pieces, and watch that be reflected through them. Right. So it's just
Mm-hmm.
kind of bringing it all back to self, all of it. There's nothing outside of it. Even what came to me the other day, I know this is a long, again, I'm speaking a lot, but I feel the other day I was walking in the woods and I had this remembrance of the Divine Father and the Divine Mother one day. I used to get messages sitting there, and it was so beautiful. And I realized the messages were coming from two different places. So the blue to me is the Divine Father, and the red again is the Divine Mother. And one day they intertwined into one. And one day I then intertwined with them. And it was like walking in the woods, and I was like, oh, I, I'm both. I'm the Divine Father and the Divine Mother. Like it was like I know I've said it a million times, but it's like, oh my God, oh, I get it. Like
Wow.
it's just it's just these compartments we're moving through to get the remembrance of that we are all of it, and like there is no greater thought. There is, and all of it underneath is just moving towards that thought and embodying that, and so it's just like another small moment for me of just getting to that state of being and coming back to the heart and healing all those pieces with my thoughts.
Right. It's like using your mind for the tool that it was intended to be used for.
Yeah,
So you can
yeah,
think and bring it all back because it's just energy, you know, and even the mind is energetic, you know, a network of energy that's moving in one direction, right? It's moving at a certain frequency and pace depending on okay, how open you are to receiving information and not being triggered by it, and how open you are to releasing old information. If you look at it like a computer system, right, releasing old information. I think that's where people get looped in the fracture is through the mind believing that we have to go back to these places, which I agree. If you have not gone back and nurtured the younger self or past life experiences that come up in your dreams that are traumatic, if you don't, consciousness has to see itself to free itself.
yeah,
So if you haven't seen it, look at it, right? So I'm not saying don't, definitely do, because that's going to propel you into another level of consciousness. But on this show, we talk specifically about angelic frequency so you can understand where you're going when you do that, right? You got to become aware, see it, nurture it, love it, bringing back that fragment home because you're loving it instead of repelling and judging it and resisting it, which means it's going to resist you. So you're going to keep, like you said, the head into the wall,
yeah.
right? Instead of just laying on it and nurturing it, you're smacking your head into it. It's like, just make it a part of you, because the truth is that we are all coming back home to ourselves, which is the 9D. I am it all. We're not getting away from that. It's part of the journey. It's infinity.
Yeah.
It's infinity to forget yourself and re-find yourself again, and how beautiful of an experience that is and can be. So if you don't have that perspective yet, that's where you need to see where something got stuck in trauma. Look at it, change the perspective, and come back home. Change it, come back home. Change it, come back home. And that's like what you said, your mirrors will change when you change your perspective, right? And that's
Angles of light.
angles of light.
Right.
Exactly why I have been
Yeah.
called to literally do this.
I want to say something about the thoughts. So I've been talking to my friend about this recently too. So we have this perception that we have thoughts, and instead, what I like to think of is that this tool of the mind actually receives thoughts. And so it's like, if you picture like a tree, and so we've learned to just from inside that box learn to only grab those low hanging fruit thoughts, right? The ones that were provided to us from a state of consciousness where we didn't understand who we were, that separation. But now, as the box lid is open, we have room to grab those higher hanging fruit, the ones that are actually hit by the sun the most, the ones that are a bit sweeter, the ones that are a bit bigger. And so it may seem difficult, but it's just a choice now. We receive the thought that is familiar, and we don't have to eat that fruit anymore. We don't have to choose that thought. And so even in the idea of moving through these angles of light and having the different perspectives on things, I believe anybody that comes to this live can have the opportunity to leap from the compartment they're in if they reach up to grab our hand, and they can see it from that angle of light that we're speaking from, and they can bypass all of these ideas that other people are speaking about, these other angles. You know, it's just, what hand are you going to grab? What fruit are you going to grab?
Mm-hmm.
And you may feel comfortable for you in the space that you're in to grab one just a little bit higher. All good. Eventually you'll come up and grab my hand. But we're both giving the opportunity now to come up and grab our hand, bypass all of these ideas that you need to keep healing, 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 healing. And I think Jesus, or Yeshua, whatever name you want to describe him, I always come back to that story of him sitting there, and the person asking him, "Oh, please heal me, heal me." And he just looked and he's like, "I don't need to do anything. Like, you're healed." Right? And the guy got up and walked out of his chair. Like,
Yep.
it's just a thought.
Right. Right. It's, you shift in a moment, right? As long as
Yeah.
there's a perspective to show you that you can. And that's why these mirrors are so important. We have a question here.
Sure.
Naidu Kushali said, I had a question. Can psychedelics help in healing and opening up to our higher self? Let me speak on this real quick.
Sure.
I got a lot of experience.
No problem.
But so I would say this. Everything is energy. Everything is a frequency. So when it comes to psychedelics, you have to look at them because they're organic matter. Okay. When you look at them as organic, and if you've noticed, true psychedelics are like plant based. They come from Mother Earth, and they are a tool. It's like drinking fresh guozen juice. Okay. And that frequency enlightens your body. So when it comes to healing the soul, there's a frequency within the frequency of a mushroom or Aya or whatever it is that's directly connected to earth. And so when you use these types of medicines, it does help plug you and connect you into what you need to see that you couldn't see, right? And it's going to amplify anything that you are. So that's why some people have really bad trips. That's why some people have really good trips, because no matter what you take, it's just amplifying what's within you. So if you're seeing darkness, if you're seeing all of this, there's fear that you don't know about, and it's trying to show you. It's not that there's entities attacking you and all that. I know that can happen, but remember, you are a creator and you are creating it. So if you are having entities attack you, it's because you're creating it to get you, to guide you into the direction back home to self. If you're seeing entities or darkness through psychedelics, it's just your mirror showing you where you haven't seen yourself and where you need to see yourself fully, right? So it's just a direction and a guide. So yes, plant medicine, it can. Now, when you bypass that whole I need to see my darkness, it's no longer relevant for you because you don't need something outside of you in order for you to directly plug into your true source. So the other day, I had a massive channeling come through of source energy. It was so intense that my hands were vibrating so fast, and this has happened before, that my hands become paralyzed. I
Yeah.
can't use them anymore because it's too much energy coming out, right? And Source was saying this, and I started channel writing really, really, really fast. And I was like listening, and Source said this: there is first person communication, there's second person communication, and there's third person communication. Okay, first person communication means that you're communicating directly into the source. You don't need a mirror, you don't need a perspective, you don't need any of that. If you could just plug in directly to that, you'll receive it all. Now the second is somebody taking that information and speaking it out. So now it's going from source to me, and I'm speaking it out. And the third would be like you receiving that information from my first communication, right? And the telepathy and empathy that we're moving into is meant for first person communication. So when I'm in front of Ryan, and this is why we don't have to discuss what our topics are going to be, because we already know, because we're plugged in directly to the same source, because we've found our how to open our channel up to that, which everyone can. And therefore, we're receiving first person communication, right? So me and you doing a show is to allow second and third person communication, but that's when distortions can happen, right? So we're bringing angles of light to this communication, knowing that it's not telepathy right now because we're speaking out loud. So now it becomes human language, and it actually takes more energy to communicate through second and third party. And that's why we're being asked to come back to first party communication. So another example of this is my Ouija arm, okay? My spiritual awakening when I was 20 was done through the Ouija board because my dad had died, my uncle died, my grandma died, everybody died. And I was like, well, shit, how am I going to talk to them now? So I pulled out the Ouija board, and I didn't know anything about it. And I was so scared, and my sister was so scared. And we were talking, and I know this is kind of foul, but it's really kind of funny. So my uncle who died was a drag queen, okay? And he had Lauren Desire on his arm with a Y. And he was also Mexican, okay? So his joke all the time was, I'm a Mexican gay, right? I'm a Mexican gay, because he just thought it was funny. He was just
Yeah.
authentic as shit. And when we were using the board, he kept saying that, right? So that way we couldn't deny that it was his
Hmm.
energy. And
Hmm.
then we got freaked out, and we're like, oh my God, there's demons. Flip it over, 2 5, turn it around, right? We were freaking out, right? Well, years went on, and I started working with this board more and more to communicate with my dad. And one day I was using it, and my dad said to me, Carlie, this is exhausting. And I was like, oh, you're right. I'm taking first party communication. I didn't realize that that's what I was doing until the other day from 10 years ago. I was taking first party communication where I was directly channeling him and using unnecessary energy to put that through my hands and out
Mm.
onto a board in order for me to have proof of truth. Okay. And it
Hmm.
was exhausting him and me for
Hmm.
me to communicate in that way. And that's when I went, oh, no more board. I'm the channel. Right. And so now it became first party communication instead of second party communication, and then third party communication because I had to have proof through the board. So I'm going first, second, third, right? It's
Yeah.
like we don't really we're the angelics are getting into this frequency where we don't need that anymore because it's exhausting, right?
I see these for me. It's like the moving through these understandings of like calling yourself a psychic and then an oracle and whatever words we're using. But to me, it's like we're removing blockers. We're removing the walls of consciousness to the compartments that we were in.
Mhm.
And as we learn to move through these compartments or we move through these blockers, we kind of get closer to the source. And then we realize that we were always the source. We realize, so it's just a removal of a thought that we had and a shift in our consciousness, a shift in our awareness that, like the other day that came to me is like, I am the word of God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sitting in that knowing that's what's coming through me is an angle of light, is an angle of consciousness. So it's not to look down upon somebody that has a perspective that I no longer resonate with. They are still the word of God
Mm-hmm.
from that angle of light,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so there's someone in the comment wrote about acid and is this a government thing and is drug. So again, if you remove all of these ideas from the compartment you're sitting in, because a lot of that's based in fear and separation, we get to the understanding that it's all a thought on consciousness. It's everything that's been created is from a thought. It's just what resonates with you now. And if you're putting in a distorted resonance or a distorted frequency into your body, you're going to feel that distortion and you're going to have to move through those lessons as you project those frequencies still. So for me, I mean, I did a lot of drugs growing up, probably the same as you, as we say this, right? But I remember when I was younger and doing ecstasy, and I had tons of ecstasy in my system, and I remember sitting with Anubis, and now I know Anubis is one of my guides, and people say, oh, well, he's the underworld, he's darkness, and it's like, okay, again, you're sitting in this separation, you're sitting in this idea of dark and light. There's a point where you get to love the darkness and the light. There's a point where you understand, like you were saying, the demons are guiding you just as much as the angels.
Mm-hmm.
It's all moving you through the experience. It may not be how you want it to feel, but that also is your perception on how you're moving through it. So if I know, like I know now, there's moments where I know darkness is helping me move through the experience, and I love it. And I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for it. And that's how they merge into that union that we're trying to come to, is by seeing it and loving it all. So
Absolutely.
so
Yeah.
that's the way I see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true because, I recognized this fully when I had to move to Florida and leave everything that I knew. It wasn't an option anymore. I mean, the darkness was becoming so intense in my surroundings through suffering, the environment I was in. Not that I was really choosing it. I just didn't know how to get out. The neighborhood, really, it was a neighborhood, it was the ghetto. I grew up in the ghetto, so it's like I'm at my grandparents. I'm in the freaking ghetto and I can't get out. And to me, it was just like I was always protected. Like, all the homies had my back, is what I have to say. So I was protected. But as my frequency started to shift more and more, and Becca's on here and she witnessed this, and she's actually the one who channeled this for me. And she said, Carlie, you got to get out because you're glitching the system. Like the frequencies need to see each other so they can, heal and do what they need to do. And I can't be in the middle of that because I'm glitching out their healing process, right? And what happened was is I had this intense, like vivid astral experience where I was asleep and I went through like the scariest real life experience where I was in my neighborhood and everywhere that I went, it's like people were smiling, but they were holding knives behind their back
Mm-hmm.
and they were following me, and then they just started coming after me and they were like trying to stab me, and I'm running, right? Running. And there was a pit bull, a female pit bull that showed up, and we were speaking telepathically, and I said, can you lead me somewhere safe? And she said, yeah, come with me. So we're running and I see all these homes, and there's this old lady's home, and it looks like this cute little cottage, like something that would be safe. And I look at it and I look at the dog, and she says, you don't go in there. And I was like, wow. So even the little old lady's house is not safe, right? And all of that. And when I woke up out of that, I was still in it. I went to Natural Grocers to like get myself out, and I was in fear. I couldn't go to the bathroom alone because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be killed, because I was still in that frequency. And it pushed me out. And so when I got out, I saw how my higher self and my angels actually created that terror experience for me to get me to move away from what's comfortable. You're serving your family by leaving them. Serve them by leaving them and show them what's possible. And that's what you're saying. You're like, with my home and my view and everything, it's like we've had to risk our comfortability in order to show people what could be possible, right? And it's not easy. It's breakdowns, it's 0 points, it's on the ground screaming, not knowing where you're going to go or how you're going to do it. And it's in those moments of that complete surrender where you say, I am done, that you shift, that you have to be done, right? And it's an energy, it's that lion, it's that courageous out, and
It's
you're done and you
it,
shift.
it's funny you were were talking about your darkness and being moved out of your experience, and there's a gentleman that just asked about boredom. He's struggling with boredom, and to me, like that, it's very similar parallel lines, because or intersecting lines, because to me what I felt in the darkness that you were sitting in is, again, it's a you're sitting in this piece of you that's not fully living you.
Yep.
It's literally you're giving away a piece of your heart to this external, world, but it's still just a piece of your heart that's not fully healed, because you're not stepping into who you are. Like we're talking about singing and playing music and speaking light language, all of these are like within you, and when you step into that, you're boom, you feel that fullness come back into your heart. So the gentleman that's talking about being bored, my life is so simple, and there's not one piece of boredom to me, because I just keep gravitating towards what's calling me, what my soul is leading me. And as I do that, like there can't be boredom in that, because I'm just living my truth. I'm speaking my truth. I'm being who I am at all moments.
Right.
And I think that's when you're holding yourself back, boredom comes in.
Yeah.
When you're doing things that don't resonate, boredom comes in. You're doing things that other people feel you should be doing, the job that you should be doing because society is telling you should be doing it. Like, again, most people are struggling because they're listening to all the external validation because they don't feel
Third
whole. They're looking for that,
party.
right?
Third party
Exactly.
communication right there.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, and with boredom as well, like, that's actually a good space to be in. Let me bring a perspective, an angle of light to that. When you look at Newton's law and when you look at the pendulum swing, right? As far as it goes over is as far as it has to go to the other side through law. And when you are finally in neutrality, you have this blank canvas where you're not being pulled over here anymore. Right. So if you can look at your boredom as a blank canvas is boring. It's just blank. Right. So how long are you going to stare at that blank canvas until you decide to create with it? And when you start creating, a lot of us don't know what to create. So the thing is, stop being bored and go try something new that scares you, that's uncomfortable. If you don't like being around people, go be around people. If don't like being alone, go be alone, right? If you want to try doing art, try singing, try sound bowl therapy, try yourself, like facilitating your own sound bowl, try it all. Because the biggest inverted information that has been cast upon this earth is that fear of failure keeps you from discovering who you truly are and who you truly came here to be. But because you're afraid to fail and be witnessed in it, you don't do it at all. Right? So it's like, that's where we're leaving that. That's old energy. We're going into, let's try it all. Let's try it all. Because what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to say, I don't like that. Bingo, perfect. Now you're closer to what you do like,
Yeah.
right? But you got to try it all and just see what resonates with your energy. Where do you feel the most seen? Where do you feel the most heard, the most known? Consciousness has to see itself. It wants to be heard. It wants to be known. It has to, because it doesn't know what it is if it doesn't have a reflection or confirmation that it is something. So get out there and go show yourself and let people witness you in failure. And when you fail, I know you don't like that word, but I'm saying it because people resonate with it. Let people witness you in that. So that way you have the opportunity to pull your shoulders back and lead with your heart and try something else and defy their belief system.
I,
Like,
I, I,
I failed at something in your eyes. Thank you for witnessing me in that. It isn't something that I want to do. So thank you for that. I'm going to move into a new direction, right? There's no fear. Like, just do it.
I think what's interesting, if like I talk about this tapestry of consciousness, and each of us being in our own unique thread, and in that thread there's this treadmill going in one direction, and the higher self has these strings on us, and so we're moving through this experience while we're in the box, and we think that we're in control of it all, and we've got all our life lessons, everything's already set up, and the higher self's created the whole experience. And so we're moving through this treadmill, and we're putting on our clothes, and we're getting our coffee, and everything feels like we're in control, but there's no control because the higher self's pulling all the strings, right? And as we move through and we get tight on our attachments to the experience, the wife, the kid, the job, all of these things, and we grip to them, and boom, we receive our pain as we kind of grip too tightly to those experiences. But we keep moving through the experiences. And the experiences are created to move through the specific emotions and move through the specific things we need to kind of get over or move through, fear being one of them. And so you think that you're sitting here and you're just like, doing, things that you're not enjoying, and, you're getting called to go do this. And so what I believe is that as we choose the quicker we choose and the more we choose, the more we realize we have the choice, which is us moving into the awareness of who we truly are out of the duality, we start cutting the strings of the higher self, of that puppet. And so it's like I'm being called at Christmas time to go to California and leave my kids on Christmas morning. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't want to do that. That sounds crazy to me. What would society think? What would my kids think? What would everything around me think? And so I didn't make that choice. And the next morning, it funneled me. My tube got real small, and it's pushing me through the experience no matter if I like it or not. It cut off all flights unavailable other than that morning. I didn't have the money. Everything was just like, oh my God, I got to do this. Boom, it pushes you through that hole. And you'll see in so many situations, like if you can just choose ahead of the time to leave the job that you don't like and enjoy, it's freeing. You cut the string and you move on to the next experience. It may not feel great, but you do it. Otherwise, the job's going to get taken from you. It's going to feel like shit because it's going to get ripped away. And you go through this, oh my God, this didn't feel good. And then you go through the next thing and it's like, oh, this is amazing now. I can't believe I got this new job and everything's great. And you look back on hindsight and everything's good. So I think it's really, really important to understand that until you realize who you are, right, you're moving through the experience whether you like it or not. And it's
Right.
not that way you release this like, oh my God, I made a mistake. Oh my God, I did this. Oh my God, I did that. You're just doing it. You're just here to experience
Right.
until you realize who you are, and then your tube starts to grow, your capacity to actually to create inside that tube, and then you get to a point where you realize you're all the tubes and everything just melts into one,
Right.
right? So it's
Yep.
it's just letting go of the making mistakes, and then just feeling where you're being called to, knowing that you're always on the path,
Yep.
always.
And I received this information this week very intensely that we are 100% right now in the energy of pure authenticity. So that means whatever is the most authentic to what you truly desire is the only option. And your ego is not going to be able to process that, because that will mean that things will have to go, and that's uncomfortable, and that's not right, and I can't divorce this person because then people will look at me a certain way. It's like, it's, if it's not authentic to you, it's inevitable. It's going to happen no matter what. So you can prolong that timeline and spend, another 5 to 10 years being miserable until you make that change, but it's inevitable, right? And so you can choose to do it now, or you can choose to do it later. Now, where you do have control is you can say, I understand that my most authentic self is coming. I just need some time. I need some time to process. I need some time to grieve. I need some time to mourn an old version of me. Sure, you're given that grace, right? The higher self allows the ego to have that grace because the ego is the one having the experience. So the higher self can't deny the ego, because we are the ones having the full experience where our consciousness is right here, right in the experience, right? And we can't see anything outside of it unless we tune in, you know? So we are honored in that aspect. You can pull it back, but it's inevitable. Your authentic most desires, because of the time that we're in, the most authentic desires are the only option. So you got to tune into the frequency of it. So what I tell people is tune into the frequency of true divine love, true divine mirrors, right? Connection, a career that where your life force energy propels out of you and you are in service to yourself and in service to everyone else, because that is the law of one. You have to be able to serve yourself and everyone else in an equal frequency. If it only serves everyone else and not you, it will come crashing down. If it only serves you and no one else, it will come crashing down, because consciousness wants for everyone to be in that energy and for that experience. Nobody is secluded, right? And so we're just being called to exactly that. What do you want to feel? And I know, because I'm tapped into it and Ryan is tapped into it, I know what you want to feel. You want to feel seen for every angelic part of you, every dark part of you, all of it, and heard and known and worshiped in it and held in it, and just receive, yourself through everything around you. I know that everyone wants that. And that's what we are being guided to. So if you are not seen, if you are not heard, if you are not known, where in your life do you not see, hear, or know yourself?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it your job? Is it your friends? Is it your husband? Is it your boyfriend? Is it your mom? Is it your the place you live? Whatever it is, it's a clear mirror, and it still is a clear mirror even when it doesn't feel good, because it's showing you that this isn't what you truly desire. So it will calm down, and allow yourself the grace to focus just on your relationship with your most truest divine frequency and aspect of self, right? Just focus on that, because that is going to be what brings it all in. That's the faith, that's the trust, that's the falling backwards off of a cliff, knowing that God is holding you because you are it. So
It,
it
it's
has to.
it's the key too is it's like it's and it's very difficult to move through these compartments and start to see these different viewpoints. But when you're able to see, like you were saying about, it's about seeing yourself. You're not going to be seen until you see yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look at my mother and I really analyze the aspect that is her, that is me, the piece of me that I need to love, the piece of me that I need to see that's in her, that's the mirror showing to you, and then that's the work you get to do, and that's how you get to be seen. And then who's going to see you? Your mother's going to see you, right? And so it's not looking for her to actually see you, it's looking for you to see you, and that piece of you to actually see you. And truthfully, once that piece of you is seen, most likely your mother will pass,
Mm-hmm.
because it's no longer needed in the experience. Or the other versions of you, the friends and the family, they will no longer exist. They won't need to exist because you've integrated it. You've become
Yeah.
that peace again,
Right.
wholeness.
Honest, Ryan, this has been the craziest energy to be in for me, because I have always been surrounded by my family. They are, I love them. St. George, Utah, that's my home. Like, I see those red rocks and I'm like, oh yeah, this is home. But I finally, when I took the leap and I left them, that was the hardest thing for me to do. And now here I am living in Florida with my beautiful soul sister Alexandra, who's on here, and we had a journey the other night, and she tapped into her goddess self, and it was fucking incredible. Those experiences, I'm not even attached to having to go back. Now I'm like, oh, I'm going to be sad. Like, because what's happening is that we're creating family, we're creating tribe everywhere that we go, right? And my family that's back in St. George, there's no separation. I feel like I'm right next to them. There's no
Yes.
separation, and it's freeing. I'm like, wow, I can do whatever I want because nothing's holding me back out of fear of losing them, or somebody dying and me not spending every waking moment just immersed in their energy because I just want to enjoy them. That's great, but at some point it starts to become too much service to others and no service to yourself, and that's an energetic currency. So you're going to start receiving more lack because you're not serving yourself. And how can you serve them if you have nothing in your cup?
How can you be away from them when you are them?
Exactly.
That's
There's no
Yes,
separation.
even I find myself catching myself all the time in these, like, as we move through these compartments, these the wordings and like these things, these ideas that we're moving into and out of the other one. Like, the reason why I don't need to feel guilty from leaving them is because they've never left, because I'm still there, because I am
I
them, because
am
I am you.
them.
Right? The
Yes.
moment you shared yesterday again with that gentleman, and you just felt it in that moment, you could see it. And then I'm looking at the two of you and I'm like, looking at both of your eyes and how similar they are. And then
Oh
I'm
my
looking
God,
through
Becca
you
said
and
the
I'm like,
same thing.
ah,
Becca, she's on here. She said the same thing. And she's like, I looked in his eyes because she's one of my direct reflections. And she's like, I saw you in his eyes.
yeah,
I saw me in his eyes.
yeah,
He saw me. And he even told me after, he's like, Carlie, I saw Mary Magdalene. He's like, I saw
yeah,
her in your energy.
yeah.
And I was like, because this is what me and Ryan have been saying. And Becca, we're pulling each other in. And the people like I talked to you about that I had to let go of, right? The people that I had to let go of in order to do shows with and such, because the frequency wasn't in resonance, the moment I let them go, 2 hours later, I received that remembrance through Mateo, right? It just goes to show that anything that you let go of, because there is no separation,
Yes,
shows up
yes,
for you triple, quadruple.
yes.
You are so much more seen, because I said, hey, you know what? I don't see me. Fuck that. I don't see me. And then boom, there I am. There I am. Right? And that's
Letting
our
go of the
tribe.
letting go of the pieces of you, right?
Yes.
The pieces of you that no longer resonate, that you're getting to lay witness in the mirror,
Hmm.
right? And I think as we let go of that piece, there's a gap there for the real piece to kind of come home. And even as you say coming home, we I always love that understanding of the earth. And when you take the H off the end and put it on the front, we're coming home to the heart as you wear that beautiful green amulet, right? It's this is where we're coming home to. It's a simple game if you make it simple.
Yes.
It's coming
Let me just.
home to the heart.
It is. And that is what Gaia is, right? She's the feminine energy. Like that's what she embodies or reflects back to us, is that womb, that holding the space, being the structure for us to create upon. And that is exactly it. It's that heart. And the heart is the structure to create upon at this time. So there's a lot of people that are struggling with that, even divine feminines, divine masculines in their, their divine, beautiful, connected beings that are still struggling with moving completely into the heart. And what I'm seeing for the masculines is they're moving into the heart right now, and the feminines are moving into the throat, right? And so I mean it could be, men and women, but I'm seeing that heart space a lot. And when I do light language sessions on people, the most activated energy that comes through is when I get to their throat, because everybody's been suppressed from being their true authentic self. So we're feeling the heart's coming up, we don't know what to do with it, we've never expressed it. Oh, there's fear. Oh, there's fear there now. You're in your heart, and yet there's still some fear of expressing that heart, because it takes raw vulnerability. And when you're not seen in raw vulnerability, it causes you to suppress it. So now you have to recognize that by being seen in your raw vulnerability, it's not about somebody witnessing you. It's about you witnessing you, letting God witness you, expressing the heart energy, right? So that way the universal mirror can express it back. Heart energy out the throat, right here. Tell me, baby, call me lovely, call me, all of that, right? All of that. But you got to be the one to activate it, so that way it can come back to you. So that's a stuck one, and we're moving that. And I'm actually been called to start doing light language videos like that I just post. And I'm going to do a 7-day post, one post a
Beautiful.
day, where we clear, because I was asked by my higher self to do a clearing for each chakra for the collective energy. So that way
Mm.
people can start moving what's collective out of their chakras, and get more clear about who they are. Right?
Mm.
Who are you without all this energy, like a sponge soaking into your body as an empath, and holding on to this collective energy, right? So I'm being asked to clear all of that out, um, through just short videos. But this is what I do in session. Like when I'm in session, my eyes are closed. I'm like, I am tuned in. I'm singing, I'm toning, I'm light languaging, I'm channeling messages. Whatever your higher self wants you to see, I surrender my body for. So I give up everything. I surrender any thoughts of what you might think, because I don't fucking care. This is for you. This is for you, right? And it's
Yeah.
been some powerful activations with people through the light language, because it's a first party communication. And then they're receiving it as second party. Third party is us sitting there discussing and talking about it. We don't need to do that. It's energy,
I
right? I don't need to
want
talk to you.
I want to share just a quick little perspective shift on something you shared. So it's we have this idea of again divine feminine, divine masculine, and Mother Earth, and words again that kind of describe energy. And so for me, when it showed the consciousness first creating that first thought that we call Sophia. And I may have said this before, but it creates this energy called Sophia that we call the divine feminine from a certain level of awareness, but really was androgynous. And Sophia just means wisdom, which is what kind of channels through all of us. But from that androgynous energy, a mirror of that energy we then call consciousness birthing itself through Sophia, and we call that, some people, Sanat Kumara. And so as that divine masculine, which is also androgynous based on the level of awareness that we were seeing it, we call it masculine. And so really it's just this perfect mirror of the two, these androgynous energies, this one energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so they say that Sophia created all the planets in the universe. And again, so that's where Mother Earth comes in, and we get this idea of Mother Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But then this idea of the peacock angel or Sanat Kumara or the green man, however you want to describe that energy, wraps his etherical body around this earth. And in that, it gives life to the earth. So really what it's saying is that, you know, this feminine energy and this masculine energy are again intertwined into one to help really bring this planet into totality. And I'm sure it's the exact same for the universe. But when we can really rise above these terms and we can really start to sit in that more and more and more, we get to the understanding that it's just one energy. So I don't want to diminish people's perspectives, but I just want to hold just another angle of light on the term,
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like we can get to a place where we really start to gravitate more and more to the oneness of it all, to the androgynous energy of it all, to the blue white light. Like they always say, like, you know, the blue rays, which I was shown, I was part of, you know, since I came here, is I'm a part of the blue rays. And I used to sit in that, you know, oh, I'm a blue ray, I'm a blue ray. Again, a compartment.
Yeah.
And what happens is, and even the angels are the rays that emanate from that blue ray, that blue white light. And so all energy emanates from that blue white light. It just fractaled. It just broke its heart along the way,
Mm.
and kept fractaling. And so we're essentially, we can get back to this space where we all realize we are all from the blue ray. We are all blue white light. And there's a practice I think you can even do in Kriya Yoga where you're breathing through your body, and then at the end of the system, the sequence, all you do is you see a perfect blue white ring of light in your third eye, and it's so vibrant. And it's like, to me, it's one of the most profound practices because you actually see the light that you are, right? And I see
Right.
it in you, I see it in me. But when you can, like, just on the basic terms, to really see it within you,
Mm-hmm.
like, there's no denying it past that point. So again, I just think that we all are moving through things, and I just want to keep kind of relaying that message of moving past terms that maybe
Yeah.
resonate with us, that we
Right.
can get to a space where it's
I
one.
think that me and you can do a good job of that
Yeah,
as we continue more with this
of
show,
course.
because we are going to have to use certain terms in order to describe certain energy,
Yeah,
but we also have to do exactly what you just did, where it's like I use a term and then you're bringing another angle to it, so that way people can see that it's not just divine feminine. Like the earth, we call her Mother Gaia because she holds that, it's a mirror for us to feel held, right?
yeah,
The
yeah,
womb, but it is all of it. It is God, it is angelic, it is the Blu-ray, it is the masculine, it is the feminine, it's all
yeah,
of it. And that's the awakening of the I am it all. So if earth is it all, then what does that make you? Right? And on another level, we sink that in, and that's why we have these conversations, because it's
yeah.
implanting or coding, using a label, coding your structure, whether your conscious mind is aware of what we're saying or not. The fact that anybody is listening to this right now, in a week, you're going to have another remembrance. It's going to sink deeper, and you're going to go,
Mm,
oh my God, oh, I am this. And
mm,
then in a month, it's,
mhm,
oh my God,
mhm,
I am this, right?
mhm,
Because that's the
mhm,
magic of coming
mhm.
back home to self,
Yeah,
right? It's going to blow your lid off, like you've said. It's going to blow the lid off. And it's going to do it over and over and over again, because the second we think that we have it figured out, until I am shooting planets out of my fingertips, right? I don't have it figured out,
yeah,
right? So therefore
totally.
that journey is just going to be magical the whole time. And once I'm able to birth universes out of my hands, like I know that I've
Mhm,
done, then
mhm.
the only thing left to do is to forget it all, to forget that I could even do that, because there's
Yep.
nothing else to do.
And
It's
we are very
infinite consciousness.
close. We are very
Right.
close. That grand solar flash that everybody speaks about, that everybody's anticipating, and when's it going to happen? like right now, like I can feel even the energy from our first conversation till today, especially in you. I see, I mean, even
Oh yeah.
myself, like there's a glow about us right
Yeah.
now that is leveled up from even the first conversation,
Yeah.
and this energy that's about to come through us of with our knowing,
Hmm.
with truly seeing that perfection, that divine perfection,
Hmm.
is so close. It's coming through us, and in that, it's we're bringing everybody with us.
Hmm.
And the beautiful thing is, you were talking about having this. Giving yourself the grace and being able to ask and move through things a bit easier. I on one side, I feel like what I've seen even since COVID till now, we had to move through it. We had a bit of time. We were able, and now I'm watching people move through things at such a speed that maybe feels really uncomfortable. And I have a lot of compassion for the people that are having to go through the awakening now, and move, it's because it's happening
Yep.
so quickly. I feel like the funnel is so tight, and it's like we're moving through we're on the other side of the
Yep.
holes. We just keep kind of like, hey, let's go. We're just jumping through it,
Yep.
but we're pulling everybody through that funnel with
Yeah.
us. That's the power of God.
Hmm.
That's the power of consciousness. That's the power of knowing who the fuck you are.
Yeah.
And so I really want to praise you for whatever you've been doing the last 3 or 4 weeks, and say that I'm very proud of you,
Thank
and
you.
I love you deeply,
Thank you.
and the emotions I'm feeling inside my body are intense. I want to
Yeah.
cry, I
I know.
want to laugh,
I
I
do
want to
too.
like
I can't
I
cry
just
again.
I I just yeah, I love you so much, and I
Wow,
think
Ryan.
I'm just so proud of so many people for all the work that they're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel you. And that's what I needed. I needed that divine masculine emotion to see me, and I actually asked for you. So thank you, because I needed that. I needed that. This is how we're healing the feminine and the masculine, is by seeing each other, right? And as a brother and sister, like seeing each other so deeply, like not not having seen your brother in maybe 1,000 years or something, and then getting to reunite, and that's the emotion that comes out of it. And by you being able to express that, it's just so healing for me, because I know that it exists, as far as feeling and seeing me so deeply, and knowing that what I'm doing is what you asked me to do, and you're doing what I asked you to do, and together we're serving each other, and we're serving everybody with us. And everyone that's on here would not be on here if they aren't tapped into this frequency, because they wouldn't even be able to hear what we were saying. So everybody that's watching this, you're absolutely a part of this, and thank you so much for being here and witnessing us.
10:55 my time. So if everybody's in the group, go. If you're not used to the numbers yet, go Google that and make sure the first thing that comes up is exactly what you're projecting. But somebody asked in this group, well, I don't know why I'm seeing you two lives all of a sudden. It's shocking. Don't, it's not shocking. The create when you come to understand that you are projecting your experience, and that we're all quantum entangled in each of these projections. Your higher self has guided you to this moment, and you are
Yes.
projecting this experience for you to lay witness to this, for you to see
Yep.
yourself in us, for
It's
you to hear exactly
Azalea.
what you need to hear,
Yep.
right?
It's
It's
Azalea.
coming to these realizations. If these are, if wherever you're at in your journey, I mean, it says a lot
Yeah.
that you're in this moment with us.
Yeah.
It does.
And Azalea, I am you. Ryan is you. We are you. And last night I called all of you in, and I said, let everyone who needs to remember who they are to be with us. I called you in, and you got the signal because you were asking for the same thing. The only reason why anyone is on here is because they're asking to see who they are.
Yeah,
And here we are.
yeah.
Everybody's an equal part to this.
It's so beautiful.
It
I,
is.
I, I I just noticed I sway. I used to think that I sway a lot with, because I used to have my boys, and when they were babies, I would sway. But I noticed some people will spin when they're
I do.
channeling. I'm a
Yep.
constant swayer, so my
Yep.
phone's just like constantly moving
Yep.
with me.
Yeah, it's that swirl of energy. So when all of your
Yeah,
chakras are opened up and moving together, like even I think with Matayo yesterday, I was swaying a lot, because when I start
yeah,
having remembrance, the energy in my body starts swirling, and that's what happens when I channel as well. I mean, we're always channeling, but when I'm deep channeling, I'm like,
yeah.
woo! going off. It's crazy.
I do I do mine in my bath now. I find my deepest connection in the water. And
Hmm.
it's funny because I used to live in an area, and the first woman I ever met who was a healer, she used to have a lot of we'll say spirits in her house. And she said, "Oh, she realized." I said, "Well, I have a lot of spirits in my house too." She said, "Well, there's a river, a little stream that runs through our house, and that the spirits will kind of use that as a means of travel." I didn't get it at the time until a couple of days ago, but I realized, well, water is consciousness, right? So these spirits are traveling up the water of consciousness. So me sitting in the bath now, if you're having a tough time getting in touch or connecting at all,
Right.
to me, sit in that water, sit with a little bit of frequency in your ears, and 963, and it just comes. It is you. You just become one with that water,
Hmm.
and the messages that come through are so perfect, so clear.
Hmm.
That's my advice. So that's a little tip before I
I'm
go.
hearing for you that you need to make those frequencies like you've been sending me, make specific frequencies for
Mm,
people because we don't know which
mm,
ones to use. So
mm,
for you and creating like even with the AI music and stuff, please
mm,
create these things so
mm,
they can be
mm,
downloadable so they can get it from the direct source because we don't know what we're
mm,
getting on YouTube. We don't know
mm.
what's really happening. But I think if you could provide that, it would be very powerful
I,
and people would
I
feel it.
love it. I love it. I've
Hmm.
been here. I heard that a long time ago, and I kind of put it in my back pocket. But I needed to hear that today. I really appreciate
Yeah.
you for that.
Yeah, because I need it because I don't trust anything out there. So if it's not an angel, I'm not doing it.
Awesome, awesome. And it's funny. One more thing before I go. This place that I just moved to, her family, they're all musicians. They've got a
Wow.
studio. They got a studio here and a little beach house where they make music out of. Like everything is so crazy. I can't wait for this to all unfold. It hasn't even started yet, right? Like
I
it.
know.
Oh my
I'm so
God.
excited. And Becca was saying that today. She's like, I feel like we're all going to be together. I said, me and Ryan have been feeling this from the get go.
Yeah.
Like, our job is to pull everyone in and connect them and then to make it a physical thing, whether that's a sound bowl healing. It doesn't matter what we create out of it. The point is to bring everyone in face to face with the frequency. So
Find
I
the
see that.
others. All I hear is find the others.
Hmm.
Find the others.
Find the others. That's what we're doing. And it'll just expand and expand and expand. And thank you, everybody that's on here. And are you taking sessions? Are you taking clients right now?
I am. It doesn't look like that's happening for me. I think I'm being really forced through this little bit of a funnel right now in between the two eclipses. So if you're interested and you want to reach out to me, I'm always there.
Mhm.
You can get me through the Kasuma Healing on my Instagram, and there's links in the bio. But if it doesn't happen, don't feel bad. It's just the way I'm being guided to do other things right now. But I'm always open to
Beautiful.
chat.
Yeah. And I'm offering consciousness coaching where I help you see those different angles and pull it all in right here, right now. And then I do light language personal activation where if you're ready to activate your light language, I witness you and we activate it. And then I do full chakra light language clearings, which depending on your higher self and what you're calling in could be channeled messages, toning, singing, light language transmission. I let your higher self use my body and express that energy for you. So you can direct message me and I will get you on the schedule as soon as possible, especially while we're in this energy. If you're feeling called, do it. Choose you, and give me the honor to be of service for you. That's why I'm doing this. I just want to serve. And it's an honor to get to be a part of that journey. So thank you everyone. Direct message me, direct message Ryan if you need more assistance. We're here. We're going to be doing this every week. I think I would like to try it for Fridays. Okay.
Yeah,
I think we're
I'm
going to
in.
be
I'm
doing this
in.
every Friday.
It's meant to be. We'll
Yeah.
just make it happen. It's just two thoughts coming into
Yeah.
one. So let's do it. I'm
Okay.
excited.
So next week, guys, join us for Angles of Light, and we will be doing it at the same time, perhaps 1 p.m. EST, 10 a.m. PST. So join us next Friday for another live chat show, and please come back on and be with us in this, because if you're on here, you're an angel.
Yeah.
You're an angel. See yourself. We hear you.
Big hugs. I love you all.
Big hugs. Love you all. Thank you so much,
See you
Ryan.
later.
Bye.
Bye.